What's up, Valo?
How you doing?
Doing great, man. They were going crazy for you. They were going
Yeah,
nuts. They were losing their mind for you.
clapping all day.
Hell yeah, claps all day, baby. And this ain't no venereal disease. How you been, man? How was your day going?
All right. I woke up and I was a little nervous about this whole thing. Never been the interviewee, you know?
Oh yeah, well that's okay. I'm nervous too. It's funny because I was I get a lot of people comment on me saying like, "Oh, I like your confidence," and I like that. And little do they know is that there's this thin veneer that is covering the sheer terror that I feel every time I get in front of these lights, because it's different. Because I come from the podcasting world where it's audio, and so I never really dealt. I did at the beginning of the podcast when Facebook Live started. We started streaming it, but that was different. I mean, Twitch is so different,
Yeah, it's very
interactive.
different.
Yeah, it's interactive and stuff. So every time I get in front of here, my palms are sweaty, and it don't matter who I'm talking to. You know what I mean? It'll just I'm sweaty palms, nervous, and I constantly have to sit there and take some breaths and calm myself. It's a
That'll
daily
be a thing for me too, yeah.
it's a daily struggle. That's what I really, I was really. Hey, Reina, thank you for those hypes. The That was the one thing that caught my attention when I was reading over your bio on your website was that you kind of started doing this because you were trying to, I don't know, face your anxieties. Is that right, or am I just making that up?
No, you're completely accurate with that. I've known for a long time that I've had like my mom used to encourage me all the time to write and do art. She knew a person when she was working for a drug company that was related to somebody that worked for Pixar, and she tried to get my art to them and affiliate me in some way with that. She had some of my artwork published in her works newspaper, like her newsletter or whatever.
Mm.
And she always tried to push for that. And I never put myself on public display.
Mm-hmm.
Even to this day, I don't. If I can avoid it, I'll avoid it.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's not that I'm intentionally trying to avoid. I've never done artwork or anything creative that I do for money.
Mm-hmm.
I've never made a dime off of a single thing I've done,
Okay.
and it's not that I intend that way, but it means something to me, and I don't know what it means. And the anxiety was a big thing in blocking that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been coming into the real world lately. I have a 9-year-old who suffers from a disability that's hereditary, and there's nothing that can be done to reverse it. So, been smacking into the real world is a better word than coming into it.
Yeah.
I've been trying to ground myself and coming to terms with my anxieties and my own understandings of the world, which have been very complex, and I've sort of had convoluted ideas of since I was a very young child, which is, I don't know if it's completely abnormal. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up to talk about this kind of stuff with, but as far as I'm concerned, the kind of things that I thought about when I was younger, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old doesn't think about these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was listening to grown-up music at that age,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't, I can't say I understood it completely, but by the time I was 12, I knew what everybody was talking about when they said something. And when I said I had, you know, fears about being loved or being accepted, people were like, "You don't know what you're talking about. You're 12."
Yeah.
And it was really hard for me to open up to people after that. It was really hard.
Yeah, those moments as a child where you get smacked down to your core, that shit lasts, man. That's a scar that just sort of sticks around forever, unless you really work at it and really work at. No, I have the same sort of story, man. Like I realized at a very young age that I was very self conscious about, especially as a young kid. I was just a fat little shit. I don't even know if I had to guess. I was probably like 170 pounds in like
I was
third
pretty
grade.
big as well.
I was huge. I had little bitch tits, and I still do. But it was tough, and I remember like I was in karate and taekwondo, and I was getting changed, and I took off my gi, and took off the top, and and this one little asshole kid point, he's like, he's got boobies, and all the dudes in the locker room like look, point, and it's the classic. And like right now, when I think about it, it's fucking hilarious. But at that
It is.
moment, it
When you
was
look
like,
back on it,
and now
it's
I'll
always
never take my shirt off in public again. So there you go.
self-conscious about that kind of thing. It leaves you scarred.
It does. And
And
go ahead, please.
I have a lot of issues with that myself because, like, I know for a fact, and I knew before I got into the relationship that I'm in with my loving wife, that I have anger issues. And I knew that if anybody was going to accept me as a lover or as anything for the rest of their life, that I was going to have to face that eventually. And I didn't face that before I got into the relationship.
Hmm.
And I've had instances where it's shown to me that I'm not. That's one of the things about myself that I point out on my website is I'm a flawed person. I have more flaws than I do skills. And I share more of my flaws just openly because, when you're mad, you post on your social media, fuck this shit, I don't want to be here anymore, whatever. And I've done that a couple times. And, I lose my temper quick and I start yelling and stuff like that. And when it hit me that my child might pass before I do, I knew that it was time to come to terms with it because I knew that the times that I had yelled at him were just unforgivable.
Yeah.
And I had remembered that. So what he has is a thing called muscular dystrophy,
Hmm.
and it's a gene modifying disorder. He's missing a sequence of DNA that eventually will sort of harden his muscles or make them tear. It depends on the type of muscular dystrophy it is. He has a type called Duchenne, which is usually the type that hardens the muscles. But I knew that was going to be that was it. That was what made me realize, oh shit, I'm an adult now. I have to be responsible for what I've brought into the world. And me and my partner have to be strong in this, and we have to take care of each other. And the way that I wasn't grounded enough to come to terms with that, so it hit me pretty hard. And it's only recently that I've been sort of understanding how to put my feet on the ground. I've always had my head on the ground and my feet in the sky.
Hmm.
And it's I would even say my head was buried under the sand like an ostrich,
Yeah.
almost. I like to keep myself blind to a lot of shit that's going on, especially like politics and stuff. I really don't keep up too much with politics. I mean, I've been watching a bit of, the shit that goes on.
Yeah.
It's impossible to miss.
Right.
Especially, I mean, I don't know.
Well, you're
I'm a
Canadian too.
Canadian,
Yeah, exactly. You're
and
Canadian
I
too, so
know
you have a different
what's going
perspective.
on with Biden and Trump. I mean, I watched the debate, but it was a bit of a manipulated version of the debate.
Oh,
Um, I'll share that with you at another time.
sure.
It was an artist's rendering of the debate
Hmm.
live.
That's
It was
interesting.
very interesting. Um,
Fair. That's one way to do it.
but it was. I mean, I don't. Like I say, I was buried. I bury my head a lot, and
Mm. In
when
which
you're an
ways?
adult, when
In
you
in which ways do you do that, if you don't mind?
well, again, I don't share a lot of art. I've made a little bit of. I'd say a lot. A lot of people would say, "Oh, I've made a lot of music." I haven't made a lot of music. I've made
Mm.
a little bit of music, and again, I'm not great at making anything that I do. I sort of call myself a jack of all trades, but a master of none.
Mm.
So I do a lot of things. I play a bit of keyboard, I play a bit of guitar, I play a bit of bass, I play a bit of drums. But I can't sequentially keep a beat going on the drums for more than 3 minutes.
Mm.
So I have a loop pedal that I run my drums into, and I sort of build my drums,
Mm-hmm.
and then I loop them, and I just play it looped back.
Yeah.
And, you know, as far as my guitar goes, I've never learned chords on the guitar. I don't know chords. Uh, so this is what I mean by burying myself. I never went out and tried to learn guitar or tried to learn these things.
Mm.
I took it upon myself when I just pulled my head of the ground. I was like, oh, I have a guitar in my hands. Strum, strum, strum.
Yeah.
And I know how to make some noise that sounds good. That's about the way that I describe myself. And to be honest, when I saw this post that you made for the Artist Eye being on We Speak English Good podcast, I was like, wow, it says that I'm an artist. I think that's the first time somebody has called me an artist.
Well, if you don't call yourself that, then
Well,
you.
if you look on my site, it does say freelance artist,
There you
and
go.
that was written
That's where I got it.
after I read it. Well, was it? Maybe it
think
was
so.
written the same day as where you got it.
Well,
then.
no, because I needed to find what you go by. So I was
I
looking
mean,
around for maybe I didn't, but I knew that you were a freelance artist, and freelance just doesn't look good on that flyer because I tried putting freelance.
freelance
Well,
means that you've acquired work before and that you've been paid for what you do. And
and
again, I have never accepted a dime for anything
well,
I've done.
there you go. Well, there you go. You're
So
an
I'm an
artist.
artist in my own right.
Yes, for sure. You have to.
But
You have to do that. You have to call yourself an artist, or else no one else will. I mean,
I
I did because you called yourself that. If you would have just been
right,
like, "I'm a podcaster" on my thing, I would have been like, "He's a podcaster. Throw it up," So
right.
you have to refer to yourself as that if you believe that, I guess.
But again, it says the first line here, it says, I'm a freelance artist. I have no professional training or schooling and no agenda.
Right.
So, I mean, it's really,
It's right there. It's written for everyone
yeah.
to read.
I have motives for myself. Like, I mean, I want to make some music because I like listening to music and I want to make something that I like listening to and be happy that I made it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I
But
did
I
that.
don't necessarily need anybody to come and say, "Hey, that's great work you're doing there." I don't need that.
Hmm.
It's great to have it, and I appreciate anybody who does say that. Honestly, I don't have too many people that do.
Right now.
But it's it's written on the site also that I think that each and every breath in and out is as much a piece of art as dipping your brush into some luscious crimson red paint. It's everything you're doing right now is happening in a singular moment that exists. And once that moment is passed, and it's passed like that, it doesn't exist anymore.
Mm.
It's a memory. Now, I look at life as like a blank canvas. Every day you wake up and you dip your brush and then you start painting. And by the end of the day, you've made a masterpiece,
Hmm.
regardless of what it looks like. It could be just something like a child scribbles all over a white board. Maybe you're feeling frustrated that day, and that's all it is. It's just a yellow crayon being smashed against a white canvas. But that's art, and it's not just happening on a piece of paper. It's happening in your mind. It's happening as you live out your day, and it's being drawn into other people's lives, and they're doing what they feel based on your actions, or they're ignoring you and you don't exist to them, and they're going upon their own actions, and their artwork is uninterrupted by what you're doing, and it's all part of one big canvas that's constantly being painted and wiped clean every day.
I like that analogy. I like that. I like the idea of that when I go to bed at night, I can start over, start my canvas all over again, and
it's like an Etch-a-Sketch. It's wiped clean
Mm.
after a
Yeah,
couple hours you were asleep, and it's just let's just shake it off
let's
and
try to do it
start again
again.
tomorrow.
No, man, when you're talking about it, I feel like we had a similar sort of revelation in our lives where for me, I didn't realize I was an angry fuck until I quit drinking. But everything sort of peaked at this moment in my life when I turned 30. Um, I was turning 30, leaving my 20s, and my father had passed. Um, my I found out I got my wife pregnant, all within like a few months of each other, and then to top it all off, I found out I was going bald. Now, just like all at the same fucking time. So it's just like, and on top of all of that, I'd quit drinking, so I didn't have that crutch anymore to sort of be
Mm,
like, this is too much for me. I'm out, and just
right.
go for it. But what that did was, like you were saying, because for me, drugs and alcohol was sort of a way of burying my head in the sand, a sort of this way of ignoring the underlying chaos that needed to be addressed.
Mm,
And you don't address that when you're just buried in alcohol and substances and stuff. And I didn't. And so at the age of 30, when all this shit happened, I sort of had to do it very sober, like very sober. I even quit smoking weed for like a year or so,
mm.
and just because I needed to just be clear. And I'm thankful for it because I never went back to drinking. I did go back to smoking weed because it's weed, it's bomb. But the but what I learned from making it through that is that, well, first of all these horrible things I was trying to avoid, my feelings and such, sort of bubbled up, and I realized I was an asshole. I got angry easily. I would realize I was a depressive. I realized how much how anxious I was as a person, which I realized my whole life I had very much. I didn't realize I was a depressive person until after I quit drinking, but I did realize from a young age that I was anxious, and I knew that in order to get past it, I would have to like confront it all the time and push past it. As a young kid, I remember thinking that like this is something I'm gonna have to fight, and maybe not in that eloquent of a thought process as a young child, but
Mm.
I recognized that I had this fear of just raising my hand to ask a question in class, and it just, anyways, this whole getting sober and realizing, I'm an angry, depressive, anxious person, and it really forced me to confront it. And now, I mean, that was how long ago? That was 7 years ago now that I quit drinking, and I'm still fighting this shit, man. Like I said, fucking my hands are sweaty as fuck right now, and like I still get depressed, but I know I've identified some of these cues, the things that sort of trigger me to get angry. I've identified things that sort of trigger my depression,
And that's important.
and that's the biggest, hugest, most important
It's
part about it.
important that you're aware that you are noticing these things and that,
Exactly.
okay, I've got these flaws and I can change myself, but I need to work harder.
Yes.
And I'm on the middle process, understanding that I can change myself. I'm working towards getting better as it is, but you said something, about being scared to raise your hand in class.
Mm.
And I made a post on my website last night about my current spiritual teacher. That is Duncan Trussell.
Love Duncan.
Now, he has told me that he will appear on my podcast at some point,
Of
but he's very busy right now, so I
course.
completely understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
But I brought up a point in this post that he reminds me of my grade 7 teacher. And it's just in the way that he he acknowledges that he learns with us as opposed to being the teacher. He's not he doesn't think of himself as somebody who's teaching anybody. But a teacher is somebody who helps students to acquire knowledge. Now, we're there to learn, I guess. I mean, we're not necessarily there all. I can't speak for everybody, you know. I can't speak for everybody. I'm there to learn. I like what he talks about and where he comes from when he starts. It doesn't matter what he's talking about. Like, I can relate to it, or I understand why he thinks it's important. Um, and he's just, the things he says makes me understand the way he describes whatever he's talking about, makes me, okay, okay, I get it, I get
Mm-hmm.
it, that makes sense. You don't, it's not baby talk, but it's like, okay, okay, now it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
This, whoever the hell was telling me this before, they weren't making sense when they were talking about it,
Yeah.
but now this makes sense. And now I understand where this person might be coming from when Duncan says that, this thing or the other thing. Well, that makes sense, but the way that the other person said it didn't. Anyway, Duncan just has this way of making it sort of come back around. So, like, he lays out a way, a path for you to
Mm-hmm.
see why it should be seen that way. And then it's a loop-de-loop. It comes back around to the beginning and it shows you, okay, this is how it connects.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that helps me learn.
Yeah.
And knowing that you're coming full circle, when you know you're coming full circle, it's like, okay, now I can know that I'm coming back around, and that will help me to get there.
Mm-hmm.
If you know where the path is going to go, you know where to go to walk on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it's not there yet, I can't really see a path for. I don't know where this website is going to go. I don't know what kind of posts are going to go up on it, but I know that it's for sharing my thoughts and my art and whatever's going to come up in the future, whatever this is. And I claim that I have a beautiful mind, and that is all, but no more beautiful than any other human on this planet. And I think that everybody should put what they want to put on display when they want to put it on display.
Yeah. Right on. No, I feel that, man. I feel that I guess it almost goes back to the etch a sketch idea of like when you go to sleep,
Coming
uh,
full circle.
coming for a circle, right? And I it's I mean, in all the things that I see and all the things that I sort of do in life, especially with my career and my art and what I do, it all comes back. Like when like just for instance, setting up Twitch, I have a very little experience in design, right? I had a very little experience in video editing. I had a little bit of experience in streaming. I had a little bit of experience, a lot of bit of experience in podcasting. So this was sort of this made sense for me to come here because all the things that I've done, even though in those moments I might not have thought about it as I'm going to use this one day, it's all going to converge and it's all going to make sense for me.
Hmm.
Um, like you do, like for me, I just did these random like design classes at this free school. It was a free adult education school. So I just did these free classes and it gave me this really great foundation for design. And then now I have to design my own flyers all the time, constantly doing layouts. It's just these little things that you pick up and it comes back around and all of a sudden like these are the things that are in my tool bag now, you know what I mean, like
Mm.
I'm able to utilize them, and even though I might not be an expert at video editing, I have enough foundation to where I can take that and I can expand on it and teach myself as far as I need to go to get a project done. And that's sort of that's how I've skated by, is just like, yeah, I can do that. Can you do this? And like in my head, I'm like, no. But in my mouth, I'm like, yes. And then you sort of just take on these crazy projects that
Yeah,
you're almost certain you're
I
gonna
know that feeling.
you're almost certain you're gonna fail, but you push through and you persevere because you're not gonna just sit there and cry because you don't understand. You're gonna go teach yourself because I need to be pushed. But yeah, I really dig that full circle idea We got a question here from for the guest. It's what is your favorite Canadian piece of work? What is your Oh, Adam, thank you so much for the host. I appreciate it, buddy. What is your Canadian? What is your favorite Canadian piece of work? Like piece of
Um,
artwork?
I mean, again, as far as art goes, that's anything from taking a breath to making a painting or singing a song, even. So if we're talking about
I think she wants Canadian specific.
artwork,
Uh,
well, don't worry, I've got Canadians in mind. I mean, if we're talking piece of work, we're talking about any piece of art in
sure.
particular. It could be a song, it could be a painting. Now, I'm going to pull off a record from my shelf behind me. It's a Canadian album by a Canadian artist who passed away, but it was illustrated by a Canadian artist also. There was a book
Cool.
released for it, and there was writing for it, there was music for it, there was paintings for it.
I'm excited.
So this is an album called Secret Path by Gord Downie. He's
Cool.
a Canadian artist. He was the frontman for the Tragically Hip.
Oh, okay.
Um, but this is his solo work.
Uh,
The artwork is done by Jeff Lemire. Um, it has quite a few sort of illustrations to it. Sorry, this is sleeved up very nicely here. Haven't taken these out in a while. Uh, every song has its own lyric sheet, which has illustrations on it, or never. This is sort of a thematic album, or what you would call a. Sorry, what do they call it when an album has a theme to it?
concept.
Concept album. There you go. So it's about a Canadian story, like a true story that happened. Uh, Back in the day, we used to have residential schools that were funded by Canadian churches and the Canadian government,
Hmm.
and they would take Native American children from their homes and force them to assimilate into white Canada.
Ah.
So that basically set off a string of, um, I mean, they didn't really do much about it until recently. They didn't really close down the schools until I think 1986 was the last one was closed.
Oh.
But
Was there a lot of like weird shit going on in these schools, or was it just like a regular like we're just assimilating you into Canadian?
according to, I mean, you can only go by the stories that are told, and this is sort of a retelling of one of the stories. So the boy that Gord Downie chose to write for was his name was Channy Wenjack, and he had escaped one of these residential schools with his friends, and he had walked along these train tracks to find his way home to, it was 600, or what was it? Sorry, I posted it a while ago. It was quite a ways away. Let's just say that.
Mm.
So on his way to find his way home, he passed away.
Mm.
He was a 12-year-old boy, and he escaped this awful place where it's said that they were being beaten, and they were, had the only form of comfort they had was the other children there that knew what they were suffering with.
Yeah.
And I didn't go through this, and I don't have any relatives who have told me that they've gone through it or anything like this, so I can't speak for them. But the story is up on YouTube. It's a whole animated illustration that it shows his story, and it talks about
What's the name?
what happened. Secret Path by Gord Downie.
But what's the name of the video? Is it
Oh, well, if you search that, you'll find it. It'll come up.
Secret Path?
Yeah.
Gordon. I was thinking maybe we'll just play it in the background while we talk. That might be
Wow.
fun.
You
Yeah.
might get copy striked.
Well, I was gonna turn the sound off.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
you're right. Yeah,
that
fuck
works.
that. Let's not do that.
But the illustrations are interesting. They sort of just this one is called Seven Matches. It depicts an image of a few matches burning at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
He this specific song talks about how the two children that he ran away from the school with had found their way home, and when they made it there, well, it was his aunt and his uncle or something, or one of the other children's aunt or uncle, and they said, well, here's 7 matches, and they put them in a little jar for him. Apparently they found the jar in his pocket and with burnt up matches in it or something like that, and he had tried to light them to stay warm.
Wow.
Because it was the middle of winter apparently when he left, and all he had was a windbreaker, which is another one of the songs that it's a piece of art that sort of talks about, how it's not a jacket, it doesn't keep him warm, it's just keeping the rain off of him. Anyway, this album's pretty deep and it's pretty sad.
Yeah, no
So
shit.
if you,
What a
it is
bummer.
it is my favorite piece of art though, and if you
Yeah.
combine the back of all these, they come up with a little picture that you can make.
Wow. That's really
So
cool.
it's really my favorite piece of Canadian artwork.
There
Uh,
you go. Well, that
it's
was.
multiple things.
I think
It exists
that was a great answer, by the way.
it exists as a like a video documentary. It exists as an album. It exists as a book. It exists
Mm.
as illustrations, and it's a very great and important story. So
Yeah, I mean that is with all the stuff that's kind of going on in America with you know rights and BLM and all that. Has there been anything in Canada kind of erupting, like anything about about the natives there or anything? Like, because it just seems like this whole pandemic has given the world a reason to be upset, and rightfully so. But like it just sort of. I don't know. Has there been any protest up there? I'm not sure. I don't stay up on Canada.
there was a few sort of protests, but
Thank you, Nimoy.
it didn't really like there wasn't any riots or anything like that up here.
Yeah, only
Um,
Americans know how to riot real good.
if you want, you can skip to about halfway through that, and you'll see the artist version of the illustrations. Um, but there hasn't been much going on as far as um, protests or anything like that. As far as I know, I haven't seen anything happening, or at least the Canadian broadcasting companies haven't, been showing us that. Again, I don't watch too much news,
Mm,
but there's no boarded up windows here, as
yeah,
far as I know. So the shops are still open, but people just want you to maintain your distance. And
yeah.
some people don't care. Some people don't care at all. There's still people that are like, fuck this and whatever. And everybody has their own rights. And I don't think that it's hard for anybody to understand that if you don't want to wear a mask, then you're not going to.
Mm,
And if you're going by what human rights say, then you have to respect that. I'm not going to force somebody who doesn't want to wear a mask to wear a mask, but
mm,
I'm again not exactly. I have like 8 of them, and I keep them in my pockets usually. I make sure I
mm,
have one every time I go out. My kid's sort of high risk, just in case we got to sort of stay away from that.
mm-hmm.
And I came down with a cough a couple weekends ago
Oh
because we
shit.
stayed up at my dad's trailer for the weekend, and it got real cold at night, and I got a cough, and my kid got the sniffles, and we got so worried for a few, and I don't want to go near a hospital because I'm afraid that if I don't have it, that I'll get it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go near anybody to get a test done, because if I don't have it, I might get it. And I try to stay away from as many people as I can, and if I can avoid going somewhere, then I avoid going. I spend most of my time in my house. I only go to the store once every couple of days if I need something, and if I don't, then well, I'm gonna stay home. I might go for a bike ride, but you know, I wear a mask even when I'm doing that usually.
Yeah, throughout this whole pandemic, I've been, as I've been talking to people around the world, I've been just being like, this for artists and for musicians, this is like everyday life. like not talking to people and staying home and staying in your hole and just working on your own shit. This is what
Yeah.
I do anyway. like,
I mentioned to Reina last night that I started streaming. I accidentally got the date wrong when I said it. 2019 September.
mhm.
Um, and I was playing the games first because everybody was playing games. And I thought, oh, I love playing games. I'll play games and let people watch me. And I noticed that A, people didn't seem to be enjoying the content.
Mm.
I wasn't B, I wasn't very talkative. That's probably why they didn't stay if somebody came by.
Yeah.
But C, people expected things of me. And don't expect something of an artist.
Mm.
They'll do what they please when they please.
Yeah.
And again, I don't really consider myself an artist, but at the time, I didn't really go by that either. So, but it was, well, I just don't have any purpose for that.
Mm.
And I lost my head for a second there.
Oh,
Forgot where I was going with my topic, but
it's okay.
basically, I noticed pretty quick that gaming wasn't going to work out for me. So I had to stop and step back for a bit because it was overwhelming me to stream a game every day and have nobody show up and to try to be entertaining when you don't want to be entertaining or when you weren't feeling like you were entertaining or when you
Right.
weren't feeling like being entertaining. It
Yeah.
was very hard.
Yeah.
It was draining and it was stressing me out and I just had to let go of it. And I said, okay, well, if I want to game and stream, I'll game and stream, but I'm not going to do it for people that are watching. So if they expect something of me, that's a little bit too bad. So I basically gave up gaming. I still have a separate channel for gaming, but
Mm.
I really don't touch it too often. It it doesn't scare me as much as making like approaching a new project or something like that. But I made a deal with myself that if I ever became popular enough on Twitch to have a following, that I would never be applying for partner.
Mm.
And it's
Why?
kind of the same. Well, it's kind of the same reason that I haven't accepted money up until now for any artwork that I've done
Mm.
or any contribution to anything. And it's just that I'm making what I want to make because I want to make it,
Yeah.
not because I want money for it, not because I want you here, but because I feel like doing it.
Yeah.
And if you're here to enjoy it with me, then you're here to enjoy it with me. And if you're not, then okay.
Mm. Move
I'm
on.
not gonna
Yeah.
I'm not gonna push anything on anybody. When somebody asks me for my website, I'm like, okay, but there's not much there. Okay, but I'm not that good.
Mm.
Okay, but whatever. Okay, but
Well,
this.
well, I mean, and I'm not because I'm only saying this because you're putting it out there yourself. But when I asked you to come on the show, you asked me if I was sure,
Yeah,
and I was just like, well, I fucking asked. You don't like go out of your way to reach out to somebody and ask them to do something just to be like, well, now that you mention it, go fuck yourself, Valo. You haven't accomplished enough things for me to validate your voice to be heard. Like it's just like that's not how it works for me. Actually, um, this is a kind of a good segue because with podcasting, it can get kind of weird and and like reaching out to people is weird. I'm sure you're having fun with all of that, and especially because I know where you're coming from. Especially with, I'm gonna get off this bummer ass fucking cartoon. This is like really bumming me out.
it is a little bit of a bummer. Yeah, kid doesn't make it home,
Yeah, I
falls on the
know.
tracks,
I just,
freezes to death.
I'm not even. Yeah, okay.
Just so we know, he was
Wait.
12. Sad.
And this is based on a real story, right? That's or
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's even worse. Like stressing out. First of all, I respect the fact that you've walked away from that because the stress of streaming is real. Gonna have to check out the podcast later for sure. Um, the I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, the stress of this is super real because when I first started streaming, I was a mess. I was like, it took me like 6, 7 hours to get prepared.
Mm.
I was like bitchy all morning, and like my wife was just like, "Oh God, it's stream day. Here we go." And
Yeah.
everybody's just like, "Okay, it's not that big of a deal. Why are you freaking out like this?" And it's just because there's so much involved in it. And then and plus I'm reaching out to people and sometimes you don't even want to talk to people even if it's online. You sometimes so reaching out to people is weird. And so I had these guests on, and I'm not gonna name names because I don't wanna fucking call them out. But I had them on the show on the stream, and like a couple days later, I got an email from somebody in regards to this, and I get a lot of weird emails. Anyways, I've gotten hate email where they're like specifically talking about specific timestamps of the episode, like throughout the whole episode. There's timestamps. So this person went through and wrote hate throughout the whole thing. And by the end of it, I'm just like, well, you listen to the whole fucking podcast. That's like all I give a shit about. Like, I don't like you got through the whole podcast just to complain. So, you know, it gets weird. And I don't know if you've dealt with this yet. Have you had to deal with any like weirdness with your guests or anything or emails or anything yet?
No, but I'm checking my Gmail now.
You're like, but maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't. No, I don't. I've never got that. I'm only 7 episodes, and it's very young what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So,
that's okay. I mean, and that's another reason why I wanted you on is because
but
it's a new podcast, and I want to help you get. Why am I cutting in and out my headphones? But
okay.
you know, like you're a new podcast, and I want to shine some light on it. So you know, that was another reason. But I
I
want to read.
appreciate that.
I want to read this, and I'm gonna blank out some names and stuff, so it's not. I'm not calling anybody out because
Specific,
I
yeah.
don't want it to blow back on my guests because I respect my guests and I think they're awesome. And I don't. First, I want to preface this is that what I'm about to read you is I've looked through the evidence and I've vetted this and I made
Hmm.
sure I got both sides of the story before I'm even doing this. So
Yeah.
I am on the side of my guests. So here you go. To whom this may concern. On your last episode, you had guests that did not tell the whole story of how they came to be. In fact, they are leaving out a very big part of their story. I'd like to come on to your show and make some blistering corrections about the formation of their band, and also, more importantly, how the songs they stole are not all they stole. They are liars, but mostly the blah blah blah, and then they go into a short description and then the name of the person, and then at the end it says lame, good day, good sir. Okay, now this is I'm gonna show you just because, but do you see that how the text is? Do you see how big that is? Like that's how this person wrote this to me. Oh no, it keeps going, Adam. It keeps going. There's more. So I say hi blank. Thanks for reaching out. You were making some strong accusations, so I wanted to get a little more info. Are you a musician yourself? How are you related to the band? Do you have an EPK? Which I asked all my guests if they have EPKs.
Right.
And he wanted to come onto the show, so I'm just like, well, bitch, what do you got? And so, do you have an EPK? Look forward to hearing back, Mike. So they respond, a musician, yes. Unfortunately, that is what I have been subjugated to here. But ultimately, a leader, a shifter, I can explain. It will make sense. With will underlined. I am connected to this pity of a band and that they have what is mine and still won't give it back. I just think it's funny that they are inherently thieves and then at that point copy not one but 2 songs to become not even famous. They're not even using what's mine for what can really be done, especially now. I do not have an EPK. Where I am from or go generally, that is useless. But you can listen to this. I guess it will suffice to entice you. Is that what you were looking for from me? Something interesting for you and your fans? All I want is for your fans to understand that simply put, were lied to for 3 hours or such about the nature of your guests. The nature of your guests' reasons for being where they are. It is not some viral video. It is so much more than that. So, this is what this fucking freak wrote me back. And first of all, I'm just sitting there like, why is this dude writing to me like some Tolkien fucking little bitch? Like, why is he talking to me like he's a wizard? Like, I don't
Right.
like fucking just talk to me, homie. So I say, hi, blank. Thanks for sending me the tune. You are a fucking shredder. Respect. And just to be fair, he did send me a song, and he fucking shreds. Legit fucking shreds. Not taking it away from the dude. I don't have people on because of viral videos, Grammys, or even because they're musicians. I go off vibe. And honestly, I liked blank and blank, and they seem genuine. I don't know what happened between y'all, but I don't think airing it publicly is the right solution, or at least not on my platform. The fact remains that they were the fact remains that they were first to the egg. Their names are on the album and video. I don't know how you could prove these accusations other than hearsay or what. Old recordings, demos. The music and the video are out, and unless you have rights to the song, what is there other than resentment and spite? And that's not my vibe. I appreciate you reaching out, but I'll have to pass. I really do hope that this is just a misunderstanding and you guys are able to handle it in a reasonable manner. Regards, Mike. And then no response. So, you know, I'm being respectful, and when people write me on the show and all that, I'm very, very respectful to them, and even if it's hateful, you know, even if it's just like I think what you are doing is the devil's work, you know, I'll be like, well, go with God, you know, be gone with you. But I'm nice. I'm nice about it. I try to be nice, and so when he came back with that shitty little verbiage. I was just I really had to resist from being like, listen, fuck face, why don't you go eat a dick, you stupid fuck, you know, like the whole thing, you know. So
There's that, yeah.
but
I can imagine that on the end of it, like when you were, you know, when you finish reading that, you're boiling.
yeah, it was because
And
like, who the
a
fuck
lot
is
of the
this guy?
time, you know, there's for art, like even a piece of writing, just as simple as an email can
Hey,
be
Rafi.
considered art. But when you're
That
writing
is art.
something, if you stop and you shift your mood,
Hmm.
like I was writing something a couple nights ago, and I got up and I walked away. I went and had dinner, and then I went out for my smoke after dinner, and you know something during that time frame ticked me a little, and I was mad when I came back to my computer and sat down to write again,
Hmm.
and I noticed that, and I said to myself, "Oh fuck, why am I mad?
Yeah.
Is there a reason why I'm mad, or am I just mad because that happened? Am I still mad?
Yeah.
Why am I? It was reflecting in what I was writing, and I was like, I'm not trying to reflect onto my art what I'm doing, what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Like there's sometimes where you know it's important, like if you're painting a picture and you want to. If I was painting a picture of a lake and I stepped away and I got angry and I came back and I looked at that picture and I was like, I want that fucking lake to be red. Arrgh! If you think that's a good idea, then it's a good idea. But you might inflict the artwork in such a way that it wasn't before. You might have had the idea that it was supposed to be a nice day at the side of a lake, and it looks nice and peaceful, but then it turns out to be some blistering lava pit with demons bubbling beside the sides of it or something like. Who knows?
Well, you know.
But
Oh, please finish.
yeah, it's just about evolution and how we perceive how we feel. If you become aware that you're feeling a certain way, like this guy with his anger, if he would have noticed that he was being spiteful,
Hmm.
I'd be like, shit, man, why am I being so fucking spiteful? What's done is done.
Yeah.
And he could have moved on past that and not emailed you, and then it wouldn't have been this whole situation that happened. But
Yeah.
if it's about being aware of yourself when you're breathing or dipping your brush into that paint. If you're
Yeah.
aware that you're dipping into red because you're angry, then you might paint something different than you would if you're sitting there just angry and want to ruin the painting that you've made because you're angry.
Yeah. No, my wife is really, really strict on that shit. If vibes aren't right for her, she's just like, I'm out. It's part of the reason why we start our own streams separately is because My energy is crazy, fucking fluctuating all over the place. Hers is pretty calm most of the time. You know what I mean? So she has the very even thing going on, whereas I'm just like blah 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 blah. You know, it's just everywhere all at
Yeah.
once. And so she was like, I can't handle that vibe, and she's like, that vibe cannot be projected out into the world because it's her name, it's her face mostly, it's her music, and that like it doesn't just stop there. It's not just the streams or anything. I mean, it's like anything she approaches, if they're like, don't put those, she says, don't put your bad vibes into my work. That's just
Mm.
something she'll say. Don't bring those bad vibes over here, because it will reflect. It does reflect on what you're trying to create, and if
Yeah.
that's not what you want, then it's the wrong move. You gotta figure out a new way. Like this kid, this fucking whoever the fuck this person is, who's just spitefully and angry because they got a viral video. Like the thing is that he's accusing. For me, I take stealing really serious. Like so. Like for me, at first I'm just like, well, holy shit, did I just invest 3 hours into some thieves? But that's not the vibes who I had. You know what I mean? Like, because you do have
Yeah.
to question it. You do have to be like, oh shit. So I went and asked the band themselves. I was like, hey, I just want you to know that someone's out there saying this shit, and I just want to comment on it. And they're like, he apparently he was like somebody who was in their band years, like a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and
Wrote a
that
couple songs and they still used them afterwards or something like that.
so, but
Yeah, I know that same old story.
it wasn't even that. They said that they think that he thinks that they stole some magical guitar, like it's some magic guitar, right? Like they think that they stole this magical guitar from him, and he was like, dude, I paid him.
That's a script for a movie, actually. It's a pick, but it's a script for a movie. There's a pick. There's a guitar pick that's supposed to make Pick of Destiny with Jack Black.
Oh yeah,
No, that's an actual thing.
I
Oh, this
know
magical thing
exactly.
exists and it makes me a better musician.
Yeah,
There's no such thing. You know what makes you a better musician? Fucking practice,
yeah,
fucking effort, fucking, putting yourself into it.
yeah, man.
Knowing that you have to put yourself into it
Yeah,
is the
man.
first step.
No, I agree, Nimoy. I did feel bad for him after all said and done, because this guy's sitting there really, he's making himself suffer. And one thing I've learned about, especially trying to get past anger, and especially trying to get past, just holding on to these negative thoughts about myself, is not doing these negative loops in your head, right? Like where you're just circling the same bad neighborhoods in your head, just keep circling the block. You circle the block, you keep circling it, and you just working yourself up. And before you know it, it's like 3 hours have gone by, and you're fucking seething. And the next person you talk to, and whether you're mad or whatever you're feeling towards that person, it doesn't matter, because it comes out
Doesn't
like, what
matter.
the fuck do it comes out like that.
That used to happen to me all the time, and that's exactly what I was talking about with the being angry at, just for no reason. Like it was about like gaming too. The gaming was also getting me angry. If I wasn't winning, I was getting upset because I wasn't winning, and then that would make me angry and lash out at the next person that
Yeah.
spoke to me. And that's not okay. And I knew that wasn't okay. Well, I mean, I guess at first I didn't, because I did it for quite a while, and I didn't acknowledge it, so I didn't like
Well, sometimes you
change
don't get
myself or
it.
do anything about it.
Hey, lovely. Thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. Um, the well, the sometimes you don't even realize you do it. And for the most part, for a lot of people, they don't even realize that they're doing that. They don't realize that they're driving themselves insane. A lot of
Mm.
people don't take that time and don't like see it, and some people don't ever bring their head out of the sand, and they're just constantly doing the same shit, and that's when it can come full circle in a bad way, right? Because you keep falling and making the same mistakes over and over again, instead of recognizing them and facing them and moving past them.
Well, there's an author that I recently started speaking with who's going to be on my podcast,
Oh, rad.
hopefully within the next month or so. But he sort of, it's weird because I think we sort of inspired each other for a few moments. I don't know whether it lasted or not. He certainly inspires me with some of his work, but let me grab his book.
Please.
His name is Dave Bushmeyer. This is his book here. It's called Oneness,
Sweet.
and he makes these art prints they're really rather strange, trippy.
Yeah.
Um, he has like accompanying words to it. This is sort of a simplistic book. It's like 38 pages, something like that. Here, let's see, 45 pages. So it's a very simplistic book, and it's sort of meditation guidelines. So I'll just read a couple pages. So it just says silence is necessary, stillness is necessary, emptiness is necessary, and peace is necessary. Love is the natural state. Love and light are synonymous. Beauty reveals itself in the natural state, which is openness. You know, that kind of thing.
Mm.
Just sort of like mindful words of wisdom.
Mm.
And he's been meditating. He's like, I wouldn't call him a teacher, but he's, as I've been slowly getting into Duncan, I've been opening myself to more open people that are, in a general mindset in the same state. I've been getting a little more spiritual and trying to find people that are a little more open to that idea and stuff. And Dave has been meditating for 20 years, with 6 of them being off because of some trauma, and perfectly understanding. But he said to me that I told him that I started, getting on this spiritual journey for myself because, and it's as much of it is a spiritual journey as it is an artist journey, because, like I said, I'm starting to open myself up more because of this whole path that I've been taking. He said that he was envious of my foresight because I said I started not streaming. Lost my fucking head again. I started this spiritual journey because I had the foresight of knowing that I was going to be facing some very tough times in the future, and that I need to come to terms with them now, and that I need to ground myself, like I was saying earlier. And if I don't come to terms with some of this stuff, then it's going to shatter me later on.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of it now, but my feet aren't on the ground yet. So we're going to work towards that, and be a better person. I say we, I mean me. But
No, but we all should be doing that.
we all should
We
be.
all
Yeah.
are gonna do that. We're not gonna should. We all are gonna be better people than we were the day before. It is,
No, I mean,
that's the thing. It's all about these small increments. I feel like the fact that you recognize it is that's good enough for today, right? Like I've recognized it and I've addressed it, and maybe I recognize my anger, but it got the best of me. Okay, try again tomorrow. Etch a sketch, right? And so,
right.
God
It's very good to acknowledge that kind of thing, though. If you
yeah.
can, it's like that.
It's
Live
small
life day by
steps.
day.
Yeah,
If
small
you live your life
steps.
day by day, then you can, acknowledge what you did, maybe right or maybe wrong the
Mm.
first day, and then work off of that or work towards bettering yourself for the next day.
Yeah.
And those are easy to acknowledge, but hard to make yourself aware of.
Yeah.
Once you are aware that you need to, take your time with the things and start working on them, it's easy to acknowledge, okay, well, there's this thing also that needs work,
Mm.
and I'm not doing this the correct way, or I could be putting more of whatever into such and such, and it would make it maybe a little better. And I didn't like how I added a bit of hate or spiteful words to my commentary on such and such. Next time I approach such and such a thing, I will be more rational
Mm.
or whatever,
Yeah.
and
I
just
tr-
have that outlook on things when you approach them. Then you'll understand more that everything is going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, for
And
sure. Oh,
I really opened up. Sorry, sorry to cut you off, but I
no,
want to bring
no.
up a point here. You had a guest on a while ago, and I had asked him to be on my podcast, and he had said, "Oh, that's awesome. I've already been asked by somebody to be on their podcast. Sure, I'll be on your podcast after I do theirs." And so this was Aaron Goldberg,
Mm-hmm.
and he's become a very, very good friend of mine.
Oh,
And
I love
I'm
Aaron. He's so
very
awesome.
glad to have him as a friend. But on my birthday, he wrote a song for me,
Oh,
just off the top of his head, and just because in his chat I said that it was my birthday. He turned the whole song that he was jamming into this wonderful, wonderful thing. And man, I wish I could play it for you. I could pull it up.
is that the intro for your podcast? The music.
No, he did that. Just that was just like random too. He
Yeah.
just started that out of nowhere,
Yeah, he's good
and I
at
was
that.
like, "Whoa, yeah, no, he's
No,
great at that."
anybody, if anybody's not aware of who we're talking about, I'm gonna give a shout out to Aaron right
Oh,
now
please
because
do.
Aaron is incredible. He is a live improvise. He's an improvised live loops, and he's a multi instrumentalist, and he fucking murders. I mean, I am not joking. Like when I first started getting into Twitch, I was trying to I was doing the same thing, and before I even knew who Aaron was, I was trying to do the same thing, and then I realized, and I started seeing him, and I was like, how could I ever compete with this guy? Because
Right?
I wasn't planning on having guests every show, but it's just the way it seems to be work best.
Sorry, there's buzzing there. I gave you some buzz. I'm sorry.
Sure,
That
no
was my bad.
problem, no problem. But he just has such a vibe. His whole chat is vibe, like his Discord's vibe. Like it's cool, man. He's just this hippie kid from LA, just fucking making live loops, making beats, freestyle rapping, singing. It's cool. It's really cool. You guys should
I'm
definitely go
just
check
going
it
to
out.
play a clip of this because I have it up now. I
Let's
can.
do it. Let's do it.
Happy birthday, Valo.
He was just jamming this, and he just decided he was going to turn it into my birthday song.
How'd that make you feel?
You got it, my brother. Said happy birthday to you.
There's something he says in here that explains exactly how it made me feel. But
Out of all the channels, this is the one that you choose to spend your time in, hanging out with us. Yeah, we out in the shed, everyone talking about the high bus. Happy birthday to you. Appreciate it, hopefully it is a special day, my dude. Is it nighttime or are you just starting your day?
anyway, I wanted to get to the part, but I couldn't find it exactly. Let me
That's okay.
pull that out. He says, since I know you're going to watch this on days that aren't your birthday, and he was right, he said, I just want you to know that everything's going to be okay, and you are loved. And just hearing him, it wasn't hearing him say that, but the whole song
Yeah.
just made me feel loved.
That's
And that's very special to me, and that's why he's become a very special guy to me. So I'm very grateful to have Aaron as a friend.
Yeah, yeah. Aaron's an amazing human being, just absolutely amazing. Um, the
Sorry to shift the topic to him
no,
for a
no, no,
minute, but
no. It's totally fine.
mutual guest on both of our podcasts, I thought it
Exactly.
would be all right
Yeah,
for
that's a
us to
good tie. That's
talk
a good
about
tie.
him for a second.
Absolutely. No, I love Aaron. I love that everything he does is in this moment. You know what I mean? Like everything
So
is
much
just
of it.
in the moment, and
I
like
don't.
with the music, just who he is in that moment. It's just I love that idea of capturing a moment and then just disposing of it. And he doesn't dispose of all that stuff either. I know he goes back through and sort of resamples and makes them into songs, but I mean, for a majority of that stuff, it's just he does it and he just goes away. You know what I mean? It's just like you leave it it's like you go work out, you leave your sweat at the gym and then you just
Yeah.
go on with your day, and with nothing really other than like the fact that you just gave so many people this amazing experience together. It's just very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you,
I think he's
Rafi.
just starting to get that is that he's just starting to understand how amazing the quality of stream he can deliver. I think. I mean, he knows that now, but I think it was a few before he sort of understood why we were always coming. So I talked to him and told him he's the reason that I've sort of opened up.
Wow.
Like Duncan has been an important part of everything that I'm doing right now.
And just
but
so everyone
Aaron,
knows, he's talking about Duncan Trussell, who is a comedian. He's sort of like a sage comedian. He runs with like the JRE crew, Joe Rogan.
He's got like 4 years in psychology, so he's also pretty smart.
Oh, he's incredibly intelligent.
But yeah, as far as art goes, like I watched The Midnight Gospel on Netflix.
Oh my God, so good.
Co-creator of The Midnight Gospel, obviously, Duncan Trussell, Pendleton Ward. But I leave the math out there for people to do, but I finished the series on May 8th, which was Canadian Mother's Day.
Canadian Mother's Day? I didn't know
Canadian. I don't know if it's American Mother's Day as well, but
I think it is American Mother's Day as well. It's somewhere in
anyway,
there.
The last episode is a very hard episode to watch, especially if you've lost your mother before. And I lost my mother in 2009, so it hit home when I watched that episode.
So you're young. You're very young.
Yeah, I was pretty young when that happened. I mean, I'm 31 now,
right?
But that's like 10 years ago, so I was 21 when my mom died.
It's still a very young age to lose your mother. Yeah.
There was some shit going down with the family, and so it was kind of a broken home. But you know, that's when I watched Midnight Gospel, especially when, like I said, I hit that last episode. I was like, okay, well, I know I have to. Like I don't know, there's lessons in the episodes in that show, like just so many.
Yeah.
And they're just. It's like when you're talking on a podcast, you talk about things, and then when you have somebody to bounce an idea off of, you come up with not necessarily a conclusion, but another possible idea that you can try out or whatever.
Yeah.
And when I sort of heard these. I didn't listen to the DTFH. I've listened to Joe Rogan and stuff before I found Duncan, but I didn't really listen to the DTFH. But when I heard Duncan speaking the way that he does about things, it made me know that I had to, I mean, not actively track him down, but I was like, okay, I have to know more about this guy. And then I found his podcast, and I was like, he's been on Joe Rogan 39 times.
Oh, wow.
Not including... the most out of any guest, I think, and not including the series they did.
The Shrimp Parade.
Well, yeah, that's the Shrimp Parade is part of.
What's that guy's name? Dr. something.
Dr. Phil?
Not Dr. Phil, but it's the doctor, the transcendentally, the guy who was part of the Shrimp Parade. Duncan. It's Joe Rogan, and the third guy who's a sex doctor. I'm sorry. I completely interrupted your fucking train of thought just to say that dumb sentence.
But no, I was familiar more with the Joe Rogan experience and stuff, and I didn't think I'd seen an episode with Duncan on it until I started Googling who the hell he was after the Midnight Gospel. So this was like all relatively within the past few months.
Wow.
And now he's somebody who's going to be on my podcast. So... when you're taking a step in the right direction when you set a goal for yourself and you achieve it within a couple of months.
Yeah.
And when I saw Midnight Gospel and I found out about his podcast and stuff, I was like, I'm going to make a podcast. And I made a guest list, and I said, okay, here are some people that I want on it. I made a relative, like, some people that I know that are musicians, some people that are in bands that are musicians, some people that are sort of digital artists that are, on Twitch or whatever, that I can sort of bring on my podcast. And at the end of the list, I put Duncan Trussell. Unobtainable. See, now that list, I'm just going to type it in here. Guest list. Now that list is much longer. There are a lot of people who are unconfirmed, but Duncan's still at the bottom, and it's green with a check mark and says unconfirmed date. So to see that physically in front of me, and to know that, like, there's a person that was on this list that are, like, unobtainable for somebody who doesn't even know what they're doing, I must be taking a step in the right direction. I must be doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I truly believe that when you start running towards your fears and the anxieties that have been holding you back your entire life, I truly believe as soon as you start running at that and confronting that, that's when your path really starts to reveal itself, because you cannot see your path with shit weighing you down, with this nonsense, these terrible thoughts about yourself, and anger, and just this seething visceral hatred you would get just from reading an email. Like, these things hold you back from progressing, and
that reminds me
truly
of a
attaining
video I
things.
saw of
Oh, do you have any other unattainable guests?
oh, I
Nimoy
do.
wants to know. Yeah, me too. I got a whole gang of them.
Let me see here. There's a rapper on Twitter. He's not quite unobtainable. He's a YouTube rapper, but I asked him, and he said maybe later, because I think he was just sort of having a down day.
Is it the Dappa rapper?
No, his name is Sage.
Oh.
He's kind of small, but a lot of people compare him to Eminem, which I don't think is fair, because he's not trying to be like Eminem. He's just composed that way.
He's just white.
Yeah. So a couple of bigger, more unobtainable people are Sean Ono Lennon.
Oh, nice.
John Lennon's son. He's a big science enthusiast, and I want to talk to him about a couple things. Let's see here. Brian May, lead guitarist from Queen.
That's a good one.
He's an astrophysicist.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's funny.
Professor Michio Kaku, who's also a professor of physics and theoretical physicist.
That's a good one.
Let's see here. One that is kind of unconfirmed, and, well, it's definitely unconfirmed and is kind of unattainable, is Matthew K. Hafey from Trivium, the lead singer, frontman from Trivium, the metal band. He's very famous. He's been in his band for 20 years, but I've been in his stream for 2 of those years. So I'm hoping that I might be able to convince him to come on.
Hey.
Russell Peters is a
Russell
Canadian.
Peters. Yeah, I know Russell.
I met him because he grew up in my hometown.
Yeah.
He came from Brampton.
Brampton.
That's where I am.
Where's
right
Brampton?
Now.
Like, is it near?
Just southwest of Toronto.
Oh, cool. You're not that far from me at all. You're like 4
No,
hours away.
my
from
friend
me.
was saying 8 hours, but you're in Ohio?
Yeah.
He was saying about 8 hours, but that's probably with no toll roads.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I love Toronto.
Yeah, have you been here?
Yeah.
I haven't really traveled outside of Canada, so I can't say the same for the U.S.
Yeah. I mean,
But
Canada. Well, I mean, Canada. When
we
we were 19, we used to go up to Windsor and fucking get hayed and get fucked up because you could drink at 19 in Canada, and at the time you could buy the codeine, Tylenol with codeine in it. So we'd go up there and fucking get tanked, just cause a ruckus and get kicked out of the country.
There's a few. There's a few other people that I have on my list that are unobtainable, but there's other people that are like less unattainable and more plausible, like some Twitch musicians that I have on here, like Hugo Maru. He's a Twitch musician as well. Davey 504. Obviously, we know who that guy is.
Hey, slapper, slapper.
Herman Lee from Dragon Force is also unattainable, but he's a Twitch streamer as well. Anyway,
cool.
enough with my guest list. One of the things I wanted to say was you were talking about, running at your anxieties and facing your fears and stuff like that. I had seen a video a couple days ago. I'm just going to copy the title of it. I want you to pull it up on your stream if you can, please.
Of course.
It reminded me of this when you said, running at your anxieties. And
you
like
didn't.
this.
You don't have permission to do that. Sorry, man. Here, can you whisper it to me? Are you able to do that, or send it to?
I just put the title in the chat. I didn't put the.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
You can copy the title that I said there.
Thank you, buddy. I thank you for explaining that to me. Hey, Northbound, happy Monday.
No
Thanks
problem.
for stopping in. Now, my simple brain will be like, oh, I don't see a link that I could just push and then go. Yeah.
Yeah. You speak English, good.
We speak
Don't worry.
English good. Is it 2 links?
Yeah, 2 links in Ontario have an intense conversation. That should
Okay,
be the
hold
whole
on.
title of it.
Let's switch to the other one. All right. So, are we doing this with sound or without sound?
You can do it with sound. There's no music or anything.
Okay.
That's the one.
We'll keep the There we go.
So, they're having a territorial dispute here. They sound like humans. They butt heads, and then one of them swats at the other one.
This is so freaking cool. That's so cool. Who runs into this?
Right here. Wait. Right here. You're gonna touch head.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So that reminds me of like facing your anxieties. You're not gonna see that path unless you get past them.
Right. That was hilarious.
It's awesome. It's not just hilarious, but it's very cool.
It's amazing because
I didn't know that links sounded like that until I saw that video.
You know, I think I've seen like people put the links, the voices of the links to like women and stuff, where they'll be like, like, or at
Well,
least...
that sounded to me like almost like the fucking like they were werewolves or something. Like they were just humans as animals, and they were just going. Whoa!
Claws came out.
Right.
Hell yeah. And so I'm sorry. Okay, so you're saying you'll never face it if you don't get past those blocks in your own, because maybe one I don't know whose territory, who claimed what on this video, but if you plan on moving in on someone else's territory, you're gonna have to sort of elbow your way in, and
right,
because
you'll notice like those 2 links, they looked almost exactly like each other.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it feels like looking in a mirror when you have to face your fears or your anxiety.
Primal instinct, bro.
Right, you got that primal instinct, just like Rafi said, and you've
Yeah.
got to know, you've got to come after that. Like it's taking either trying to come in on your territory, or you need more territory.
Mm-hmm.
You need to look for food elsewhere because your territory isn't providing enough.
Right.
So it's the same with a conflict inside of you when you've got to shift every time. You got to, from time to time, you've got to make more room for whatever. And I feel like I'm expanding. When I talk to Duncan, I feel like I'm growing, and it's not Duncan Trussell again. I'm clarifying. It's not just Duncan. It's these people that I've been being around because of speaking with him and acknowledging facts about myself that I wouldn't have seen without him sort of giving me that loop about and coming back to the point. One of the things that he talks about is when he approached his meditation teacher, the first thing that his meditation teacher told him was, "This is hopeless. That there's no point in trying to be a better person because you are who you are now. And if you want to be better, that's great. But it's hopeless to want that."
Yeah.
So as long as your intention is pure I mean, as far as my intention goes, I want to create something so that I enjoy it. And I want to do it well enough so that other people can enjoy it too. And it's not just something that when I hear it, I go, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm not going to play my guitar and shred some Jimi Hendrix solo, but I can make something over top of a backing track that might sound to me like a Jimi Hendrix solo.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because of the conception I have in my head of what art is and what art isn't. Though, again, I say on my website, the lines about that kind of thing are sort of drawn in sand for me and very easily manipulated. So it's not, you can't tell me what art is and what art isn't. Like I have this wood panel wall. I'm just going to take my camera and move it here. This wood panel wall here.
Mm-hmm.
And this was my room when we moved into this house 24 years ago. And I moved out of this room and I moved into 2 other rooms and there was art all over the, like, it's unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this panel on the wall here has so many different patterns and intricacies in it that I've never even noticed before. And somebody spent their time, whether it's not real wood, so it's like a vinyl finish. It's just a plastered piece that's put up on the wall and nailed to it. But somebody took time to, whether it was just shaving it or whatever, to make that design on there. Whether it was natural or whatever, they took their time to do that, and it's a piece of art. And I've never sat here and appreciated that. There's lots of things in this world that, just because, I bet the person who made that was really proud of themselves, you know?
Yeah.
It looks really nice up there. But I bet you that 90% of the people who have been in this room wouldn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
And they would just sort of look over it because it's not anything special, it's just a part of the wall. But when I create stuff, to me, I have this conception that, okay, this sounds good, but it's not necessarily in tune or in key with, you know, whatever, and it's not necessarily, like, I put up a post from my SoundCloud that Duncan allowed me to use a sample of his voice on. Duncan Trussell, again, clarifying.
Thank you.
And I played a little bit of guitar on it, but I didn't use my drums to make the beat. I used my phone and an app on my phone, a drum pad machine that has a BPM setting. And I just sort of set the beat on there and I played my guitar to it. And it was one take. I did one take of the guitar and then I did sort of a backing guitar to it that I sort of lowered the volume on. And then I used my keyboard, my MPK sampler MIDI thing, to sample his voice. And I put it in there, and it's just talking. He says, this is me making art. This is me not making art. What is that boundary? And then he says, you know, make stuff, keep making stuff, even if it's not good. And it sort of repeats this over and over while the beat plays, and then my guitar comes in near the end. And it's not great. I really, you know, I wouldn't say it's great at all. But it's on my site, and it's on my SoundCloud. And it's called Make Stuff. And it's there for anybody who wants to listen to it. But it's not special. It's just art. And I wanted to do it, and like I said, it was one take. And I wasn't like, oh, I need to re-record these guitar parts because they don't sound good. I was like, okay, well, that's fine. They're in time. I did a little bit of editing because they weren't in time, because when the DAW that I use pushes like 2 milliseconds ahead.
I know exactly what you're talking. Are you using Logic?
No, actually, I hate Logic.
I do too. I fucking hate Logic. But that's
Logic is the stuff of nightmares, and I avoid it with all costs.
So was Ableton at first, but
well,
I like
a free software that I use. There was
Raptor.
limitations to it. Oh, I use Audacity.
Oh, Audacity's cool.
Yeah.
That's so weird because I used to have that problem in Logic, and it ended up being a was it a buffering issue? I know exactly what issue you had
It
because
is.
you
For Audacity, it's definitely a buffering
you have
issue.
to record it and then you have to go realign it every
Microsecond.
oh my god! And then I finally had to reach out to a friend, and they were like, "Bro, just lower the blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Oh god damn it!" And I had been suffering like this for a year. I was just like, "I hate Logic. And I couldn't find a fix. I couldn't find, you just like you get frustrated, and then you find out that you have other resources other than the fucking internet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Not always reliable, that internet.
No, but I like what you're saying because it is so true. And I just got this email from a producer from, was it England? I can't remember. But I got this email and they were like, "Hey, will you check out my track? I'm new at this. I'm just trying to get some feedback and your music podcast. I like your pod, whatever, the whole thing." And I was like, "Yeah, no problem." And so I listened to the song, and the thing that I noticed was like, he had to clean up his vocals, and the beat was, you could hear there was something to it. It was really just a lack of experience, and that's exactly what I told him. I was like, well, hey man, fucking, clean up your vocals, like work on singing better and work on recording your vocals better. And the beats are solid. It just sounds like it's a lack of experience. Just keep making stuff. Just keep making it. Keep putting it out, even if it's just on SoundCloud. And even if no one ever listens, just put it out there on the public market. And what will happen is that you just by making stuff and finishing stuff, whether you think it's good or not, what you'll have is this path that you've been on, this lineage, and you can mark your accomplishments, and you'll able to see your growth. And before you know it, you're fucking making bomb ass beats with the rest of them, with the big boys. It's just like every time, it's just you're starting on something. If you actually start and you keep doing it, and you just keep doing it, and keep putting it out there. I mean, you get to a point where you're like, oh, this is a song. This resembles a song. Okay, I'm gonna put it out there. It really does help with just marking your progress and getting past that idea of public judgment, because if you want to be an artist, your shit is going to be judged heavily by the public. So just know that. And so this is a great way of just getting past that, pulling the Band-Aid off. Another thing that I tell people, well, especially my wife, she's a voice teacher, for people who are afraid of talking in front of people, or just being in front of crowds, and they're a musician and they want it. She's like, well, go to a fucking open mic and just, you can look, because an open mic is that space. It's that format for you to go sound like shit, get your shit out there. Who cares? You're just getting it out there. You're just putting it out in front of people. You're getting past stuff. You're running towards this fear that's holding you back. And fuck that fear. Fuck it in its face, because it doesn't exist. It's you, right? It's us. Right. It's us telling us. No one is, unless you have awful parents or friends who are like, no, bro, you are terrible. Fuck. Then in that case, you need to say, go fuck yourself. I'm doing it. And I mean, how far you get is just how much time and effort you put into it, and it's just getting past. Yeah, and it's just getting past that initial thing. It's just taking the step off the side of the cliff and see where you land. But it's scary, right? It still doesn't take away from the fact that it's a scary thing. And
the step off the cliff. That's always been a big fear of mine. But I think I sort of took that step a couple of days ago. I was writing a poem I was being inspired by Aaron. And Aaron Goldberg, by the way, clarifying. He was just writing and playing music and stuff like that, and I was writing a poem. And I started with 2 lines, and fuck if I remember what they were.
You'll miss the fear when you finally get over it, so enjoy it while it's there. Yeah, Reina is a fear junkie, so don't listen to her. No, I'm just kidding. She's packed full of useful information.
So I was feeling pretty down when I started writing this. sort of like a mundane lifestyle feeling.
Mm.
So it started with just like I wrote that it felt the same every morning and every day was the same, and that I wasn't crying at the time, but I said that the tears running down my face were what told me that it shouldn't be the way that it was. Anyway, I ended up playing video games that night and went to bed and forgot about it. And when I turned my computer on in the morning, I hadn't saved it or anything, but it was still on my desktop.
Mm.
And because I didn't close it, so it just didn't. I don't know. It was there.
Yeah.
And it was looking me in the face, and I was like, I should finish that. And in a couple hours, I finished writing it, and I was like, okay, well, it's just a poem, but I put it to music, and it was like 8 hours total, maybe a bit more than that. It became sort of a song. And again, that's another thing that went up on my SoundCloud. It's called Not a Lie.
Yeah.
That went up on my SoundCloud a couple days ago. And that was it's a spoken word thing. I sort of started singing at the beginning, but I sort of did it just spoken word. It's not. It starts as very depressing, sort of. I think that every day is the same. Maybe I just need to cry, or maybe I'm just being eaten. And, acknowledging that I understand that life feels like that sometimes. And then what the poem did was it shifted to a different mood, because it was a different day and I wasn't writing it on the same day anymore. So I felt different because I had been inspired by somebody that is special to me. The chorus, or whatever it was, because it wasn't a chorus, it was just part of the line in the song, was, it's just a lie, I'm not alive. And I don't know why I'm not alive. Again, it changed. When I was writing it, I just flipped upside down. Instead of saying it's the same every morning, every day, I said it's not the same every morning. It's a new day. And there's no tears on my face because I wiped them away.
Yeah.
And then it goes, I'm not a lie, it's just alive. And basically what I'm talking about there is sort of awareness. I'm not alive while I'm alive is implying that you're dead. But I wasn't necessarily implying death. I was implying simulation theory.
Oh.
So it didn't really feel to me like I was living my life. It felt more like a program, and I was just being told that it's sort of the line, tears running down my face, say it shouldn't be this way. It's like something that's happening because I feel a certain way is telling me that I should feel a different way. So it feels to me like I'm being told that I have to be programmed or whatever. Anyway, I feel like the universe is a big biological entity, just all in itself. We're part of it, just like the cellular organisms in our hands that are making up our body are living. They are alive, and they die within 5 weeks. Every tissue, every cell that makes up the tissue in your body is completely decomposed and replaced with a new cell. Just like that, we are only existing in this realm as an instance of side effect for the existence of what we are. And for all we know, we're just this little bionic cell that exists on the skin of another entity that exists. And you just take that zoom out for a second and think of yourself, and take that zoom off the planet. When you see a house and it zooms out, you see the country and you see the clouds, and then you see the earth, and then you see space, and then that's the end of it. Now go a little further and you'll see that you're actually a fucking little tiny cellular organism on this, who knows what. I sometimes, Stephen Hawking suggests that the universe is saddle-shaped, and it's on the back. Well, I mean, a comedian said this part, but he presumes that it's on the back of some giant donkey being ridden by God. And who knows? Who knows?
Right.
It's honestly hard to tell what this world is,
Mm.
but I don't feel like we're any different than the cells that recompose themselves on our skin and comprise themselves. But at the same time, I know that, like again, I'm really into science. I crave like sort of science-based content and stuff like that. Again, I watch a lot of lectures and stuff with like Michio Kaku and Neil deGrasse Tyson about space and what it is, and sort of with Michio, it's more like physics and stuff, like what matter is and string theory and what the universe is and stuff. Basically, the way I understand it is we're all sort of part of this one biological sort of honestly, this is going to get a little sciencey for you.
Please, I was going to take it there anyways.
If it's presumed that if a black hole collapsed, not collapsed, sorry, that's a different word. Eventually, when the universe dies out and everything sort of moves far enough away from each other that everything is too cold to produce any heat, and everything sort of dies out, a black hole gives off its radiation, which is sort of the radiation, the Hawking radiation that a black hole is leaking, is it's extracting mass from it as it goes slowly. So eventually the black hole will shrink and cease to exist. From here, it's not really known if this is fact or fiction at this point where I am. This black hole will shrink and then we don't know what happens to it. But theoretical physicist Michio Kaku has provided an example of what may happen. I'm also sort of integrating another theory into this, but he says that it could shrink to the size of an atom and then collapse inward on itself and
another Big Bang.
Not necessarily. Yes and no. It could become a Big Bang, or it could become what's called a black hole diamond. This is where I'm adding another theory to this effect.
Fun.
But it's used as it's a relevant theory. Now, this black hole diamond is said to be a little tiny piece of information that's just supposed to exist, and it exists in nothing because nothing is here. So if we think about that for a second, it's a very similar state to what existed before the Big Bang. Absolutely nothing. As far as we know. So now let's take, for instance, this little diamond and presume that in its existence, just like us, it's a side effect of its existence is that it will eventually expire. So let's say it, for whatever reason, maybe it's got too much information, but consider it an egg, but it's a diamond made out of a black hole. And eventually it's going to crack.
Okay.
And when this cracks, it releases all this information into the world. Not the world, but the universe, because nothing exists before this or at this point in time. We're going forward. This is not the Big Bang. This is in the future. But so it's hypothesized that this is possible with this little black hole diamond. It could break open and start a completely new universe. And it's based on everything that exists within this diamond. And everything that existed within that diamond had to have pre-existed. Because there has to be information. Information can never be created or destroyed. And that's a fact of nature.
Energy.
Yeah, well, energy and information. Information exists. Like, tell me something that's the truth right now. Tell me something true. Your hat has a yellow beak underneath, right? That's truth.
Right.
I can't deny that. But what exists that makes that true? Is it the color yellow that exists that makes it true that your hat is yellow? Or is it the fact that you chose the color yellow? Is it your thought process that makes your hat yellow?
Okay, so I'm gonna I get where you're going with that. It's like, or is it the fact that It was that the idea of yellow was born long ago, and some guy that passed that information on to someone else, and okay.
Right.
Right. So there's
So that
okay.
the information is there to be used.
Mm,
And for information to exist, it has to have not exist.
okay.
To have nothing, you have to have something. To have something, you have to have had
Having
nothing.
indicates that there's something.
Right.
There's
There's always
it's
something in
indication
nothing.
of something.
So even if you, let me just round about this because
Sure.
we're gonna have to wrap up soon.
Okay.
Even if
oh
you
yeah, I
think,
forgot you had a time limit and
I got
no,
my kid,
yeah,
gotta get
no,
my kid.
no problem.
But even if you think that you have nothing,
Mm,
you can't have nothing without having something.
okay.
So it's got to be there. Everything's got to be there. Basically, what I was getting to with the theory was that that little diamond is what people call God.
Yeah.
It contains all the information that exists, and it's perfect, and it's the universe in its entirety. It's every little bit of everything. And then it's going to crack open, and it's going to create a white hole. This is another theoretical sort of whatever hypothesis for cosmologists, that sometimes black holes turn inwards on themselves and become a white hole, and as opposed to sucking in matter, they spew out matter. And that's a possibility of what the Big Bang was. So the Big Bang happened, and it spewed out all this matter into the universe, and then let's just explain that by cracking open an egg and then just watching the yolk fall out. It's just we're the yolk. The universe is the yolk. We got to cook in the frying pan now, and now we're sizzling or whatever.
Well, I wanted to address the chat because we have an astronomy major here, and they are questioning black hole diamond. They are saying they never heard of that, and then they also wanted to follow up that energy/information can never be created nor destroyed in a closed system. This is all contingent upon the shape of our universe, be it open or closed. So I'm just curious. I'm not even sure what a closed system is. So I'm a musician, so I don't know.
Closed system. I believe in. Sorry, I'm not an astronomy major. I don't claim to be any sort of intellectual. I create science-based content, and I watch that to better myself.
Yeah.
Not just to better myself, but I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I actually thoroughly enjoy watching this content, and it brings me happiness to know that I can maybe add a little bit of smartness to something sometime once in a night. But as far as I'm aware, a closed system would be basically if you have to hypothesize whether this universe is one of many or one of thousands or millions or infinite. But a closed system would basically be eventually we stop somewhere. But if you're saying that we don't stop anywhere, I don't really base evidence on things other than what I hear. And I don't say, oh, this is fact, or this is not true, because I won't disprove anything without knowing whether I'm right or not. And I don't know whether I'm right or not. But black hole diamond was a theory proposed in a video by Kurzgesagt on YouTube, which is in a nutshell. It was just a theory. It's not necessarily anything relative. I mixed what I was saying, which was a quote from Michio Kaku, with this theory in this other video that I've seen. But they do a lot of videos. Kurzgesagt does a lot of videos about black holes and stuff like that. They do real science to base their shit off of, and this was a hypothesis based on what happens to black holes emitting their radiation and losing mass over time.
Yeah.
It was speculation, to say the least, really.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that like science, it just eventually it becomes speculative, right? Like it's fucking eventually it gets to a point where exactly, it has to. It just comes to a point where it's just like, well, I guess it's magic or God or whatever you want to call it. let's see. Well, white holes are the theoretical time reversal of black holes, kind of like the theoretical other side of a black hole. I don't. I don't know.
So basically, some people think that black holes are like wormholes. If you go
Uh-huh.
through a black hole, you'll
Ah.
come out in a different universe.
Got it.
But so that would be spewing from a white hole. That would have to exist to, a black hole would have to be sucking in something for a white hole to exist. But you just take into consideration like a linear, or if you're thinking of a linear time zone, you don't think of like a spherical time or cyclical is what I meant to say,
Mhm.
cyclical. Some people think that, again, this is hypothesis, if you were to enter a black hole, obviously you'd be spaghettified, but that your matter would be spewed out into the beginning of time. And just you'd become part of the Big Bang. And so if you think of time as cyclical, maybe eventually a black hole will, basically exist until it doesn't anymore, and then the universe starts over.
Yeah. Yeah, like who's to say what? Yeah, exactly. Like it could just that could be that. It's all just these ideas and thoughts that there's math and stuff that kind of backs it up, but it's like how do you
Yeah.
prove these things? How do you prove these like atoms or whatever that blink in and out of existence? Like quantum
Well, I mean,
physics and shit. Like what the fuck?
exactly. You get down to general relativity and quantum physics, you understand why these atoms can exist and can't exist. And there's actual, maths that show this. I'm not smart enough to pull off any of this. I believe it was Isaac Newton who invented calculus just so that he could ponder the thought. He said the apple fell on his head and it clonked him. And he said, well, if an apple falls, is the moon also going to fall? He thought the moon would fall from the sky. So he had to, okay, there you go. Lisbon has helped create calculus as well. He was the one who got it funded and pushed in to curriculum and stuff like that. But yes, he found out, after he created calculus, he found out that the moon was falling, but it was gravity that was keeping it in its orbit, and so it was stopping the Earth from falling because of the gravity. So he discovered gravity at this point in time, and also figures out why the moon isn't falling to Earth, isn't going to crush them, Yeah. And it was a pretty big moment in history, I guess. You have to bring that up and point it out, but at the same time, if it's all relative and we just repeat this process, that was just as insignificant as me painting a picture.
Valo Infinity, thank you so much for coming on the show, my friend. I had a great time, and I definitely want to do this again if you're down to do it again. Like I feel like we didn't even get to the top of it. Do you can I know you said you got to go at 3, so can we do one quick round of how much does it cost on Craigslist?
Sure can.
All right, guys. You know what time it is. We're good. All right. I'm gonna tuck away our friend here. Oh, here, I'll be right back. We're gonna play How Much Does It Cost on Craigslist, and let me get it set up while our friend here is or I don't know what I was even trying to say there. All right, we're coming back, folks. We're coming. Oh, I gotta do things first. Never mind. I always do that. I always jump the gun like, okay, here we are. We're ready. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I'm not. Sorry. Sorry, guys. I suck again. All right. Here we go. Now it's looking pretty. All right. Valo, you have an opportunity to win. Oh, damn it. I didn't get him out. Okay. Don't knock over the green screen. Don't knock over the green screen. Don't knock over the green screen. Okay, I didn't knock over the green screen. Okay, today for what's up for grabs today is going to be either a CBD joint, a 2-pack from, I forgot, Puro Canagars, which if Reina was here, she would drop the link, but she is not. And fuck it, let's just go for one of these. We're gonna go for a We Speak English Good patch. And you know what? Just for fun, just in case people don't really care about We Speak English Good patch, I'll throw in something else just to entice people. All right, we're gonna do that. Okay, I had the coronavirus before it was cool. There it is. This is what's for up the grabs. We'll play one round, maybe two if we have time. So let's just jump right into it. How much does it cost on Craigslist? Brought to you by Moded Studios, and of course they made our patches and apparel, and they're awesome. And Puro Canagars is actually Reina's sponsor. We just have a gang of these, so I'm just throwing it in there. All right, let's do it. How much does it cost on Craigslist? Moded Studios. All right, first item up for bid. Oakland A's 1-to-1 ceramic baseball player bust sculpture. One of a kind out of Albany or whatever. One of a kind handcrafted and painted statue sculpture, fan-made man cave. And I guess I should have told you guys the rules. The rules of the game is we're going to guess how much the price is, and whoever is closest to the price wins. And that's it. And once you put your bid in, there's no new bids. There's no new bids. Oh, Northbound is already in. Okay. You haven't even heard the description. Let me read it real quick. Please read and view the description very carefully. This is very funny. This is why I'm reading it. This is a Bay Area local sale and a local pickup item only. No shipping or deliveries. Oakland Athletic A's, Oakland Raiders. Okay. Up for sale in the hands is an original, one-of-a-kind, exclusive, handcrafted and painted, fan-made Oakland Athletics A's 1x1 full-size ceramic baseball player statue bust sculpture. Wow, that was quite a sentence. This masterpiece sculpture was constructed entirely out of 100% ceramic clay, where it has been fire glazed, then hand-painted over various enamels to give it the natural distressed appearance. This sculpture measures approximately 14 inches in height, 17 inches in width, 11 inches in depth. This sculpture weighs approximately 32 pounds, 10 ounces. This sculpture makes an excellent art display piece or the gift for the extremely serious diehard Oakland A's fan or art collector, as it is only one of its kind produced in the entire world and not for mass reproduction. I am asking blank in cash, COD, no checks, money orders, price is firm. Remember that, price is firm. This is a Bay Area local pickup only, no shipping. Okay, so it's Bay Area. And then I do not accept returns or refunds. All sales are final. If you have any questions, give me a call. I will not respond to emails or texts. There you go. So let's look at it one more time after that big lengthy thing. Let's look at it. Everyone get a good look at it. All right. Let's get some bids in there. Let's get some bids. Okay, you guys got them all spread out. So that's okay. Valo, what do you got? Oh, you had to go? Oh no. You were saying bye to Reina.
I'm still here.
I know you have to go, but you were saying bye to Reina. Okay. Valo, what are you bidding?
Let's say 1336, just under Nemoli's.
Oh, I thought it was Nemoli too, but it's
be like
Nimoy.
Price is right.
Can you take
I'm just gonna go $1 under.
Can you take the hat off and put cookies inside? I don't know. I think this is supposed to be
Good question. If it's a multi-purpose thing, then it might have more value to it,
Mate. Bids $1,000. Thank you, Mighty. All right, so I think that's everybody. If anybody else wants to bid, go ahead. Now's your time. Northbound has 420. Rafi says 2,500. Reina says 1,750. Okay, Cunning says 50. And Mighty says 1,000. And of course, Valo says 1,336. All right, guys. I'm gonna do the thing. Oh, what did I do? Oh shit! I hit a hotkey for some reason. I know. I get it, Matt. Hold on, I gotta do the thing. I know you gotta go, Val, so I'm trying to go fast here.
It's all right.
All right.
No rush.
Actual retail price. Oh, I gotta remember to move that alert. Actual retail price on Craigslist. $100,000, ladies and gentlemen. We have a psychopath on our hands.
Wow.
Woo! We are out here murdering the street.
100,000
That
firm.
is right. Boom.
Wow.
We got a fucking psychopath on our hands, everybody. They want $100,000 for this shitty piece of art, and I'm sorry. I am a very judgmental motherfucker. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm
You know,
not
I
gonna.
think all things are art.
I'm sorry.
That
but
is art, but it's not good art. It's not art that deserves to be on display for $100,000.
I would be less rude about it if it wasn't $100,000. All right.
Yeah, no, if you wanted to put that up there for $50, then I would be happy. I would be like,
Right?
okay, a good piece of art, $50 is a nice price.
25. Okay, so I think Rafi took it 2,500. Anybody higher than 2,500? Nope. Rafi, you won. You dog. Rafi, just whisper me
Goodness
your
me,
address and I will send it over. I'll send and let me know which one you want. If you want the, I don't know if CBD is legal in your country, Rafi. So just check the laws. I'll send it either way. I don't give a fuck. That's your problem. But or you can choose from I had coronavirus before it was cool or the We Speak English Good patch. Whisper me. Let me know. Valo, do you have time for one more? Or do you got to skate?
One more, let's go.
Let's do it. We're going to do it fast this time. Here we go. French mid-century bronze Louis the 15th, I guess. 3 parts coffee table by Mason Bagu. This is out of Boston, Massachusetts. An incredible coffee table by Mason Bagu. Solid cast bronze, neo-rococo Louis 15 style. Painted mirror circa 1960, an exceptional piece. Okay, let's drop some bids. Let's see it. I'm gonna, yep. Oh shit, he's coming with it this time. He's coming with it. He's going 42,069. I like it. Woohoo. Yeah, Rafi. You can play again too, Rafi. So if you want to do it, Northbound says 420. You guys go ahead, drop your bids if you want to play the game. And of course, we have our patches here from our beautiful. Oh, Adam, you popped in for the game. I like it. I know you were here earlier, Adam. Just so you know, I'm not judging you. We Speak English Good, or I had the coronavirus before it was cool, or of course CBDs, which Adam just got his CBDs. So, and he said, I think he said it was good, or I think he just said he received them. I don't remember. I get a lot of messages. All right. Just finishing putting my son to bed. Oh, that's wonderful. That's very beautiful. Okay. Everybody got the These guys probably expect the 10 million on Antiques Roadshow, so I'll guess $1 million.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. In the spirit of okay, Rafi, 12,000. In the spirit of Valo having to go pick up his son, let's just jump into the answer here. An actual retail price on Craigslist. $9,500. Hey! All right, who got that? So, okay, Cunning, you're pretty close. Okay, Cunning, who is it? Is it? It's between 12,000. No, it would definitely be okay. I think
over.
no, you can go over. It's just you have to just be the closest.
Okay.
And I think
7.5.
42. I think it's okay, Cunning. Does anybody dispute that? Does anybody want to dispute that? I'm looking at the numbers. I'm terrible at numbers. I'm terrible at reading. We speak English good. So, okay, Cunning is taking it with that emote, with that. You did actually win something. You either can,
GG.
you can either have We Speak English Good patch, you can have 2 CBD joints, or you can have this other patch that says I had the coronavirus before it was cool. Valo Infinity, everybody give him a round of applause. Let's bring him back just to say a farewell. Oh my God, where did he go?
I'm right here.
I'm
here somewhere. You gotta find me.
I do. What happened? Oh Jesus, that's the Zoom meeting. We're gonna
Messenger call.
Here, there. Thank you. He had to help me. Valo Infinity. Everybody, give him a round of applause. This man right here. You'll probably be seeing him again.
You will. If you follow We Speak English, you'll see me again.
And of course, let's give a shout out to Valo, which I don't. Yeah, the crowd's going wild. Is it Valo? Is there any like dashes in it, or is it all just in?
I mean, there's an underscore in it for Twitch.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Oh, you're in the thing. Duh. All right, there we go. There he is. Go follow him up. He streams. He's a podcaster, artist. Go give him some love. Go show him what it's all about. And I really do appreciate you coming on, my man. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you having me.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, man. You have a good day and be safe getting your son there, bud.
I will. Talk to you later, man.
All right. Peace, brother. Well, there you go. Hey. There you go. Yeah. That I don't know if you guys saw at the beginning, but he was talking about his son, man. I almost started crying, dude. That was like, as soon as you have a son or have a child, and someone tells you about, the pain they're going through with their child, it's like you immediately project that image onto your own kids, and it's just like, oh God. And then the empathy of knowing, and it's like, I really appreciate you, Val, for coming on and sharing your story. That was amazing. Thank you. I told you everybody has a story. Don't be asking, are you sure, next time. Accept the invite. Be like, I am good enough. I'm fucking Valo Infinity, bitch. I'm good enough to be on a fucking podcast.